Hello, friends. My name is Leah Stark. Thank you for joining us for the first of 4 calls where we'll be discussing tools and tips to help you become more confident traders. We will get started in just a moment, and we forgot to start recording at the very beginning of the session, but you didn't miss much. We had just really asked people if they already have a trading plan, if they know what a trading plan is, or if they haven't heard of it at all. And then Amy gets started talking about her plan, and we go through some others. So please enjoy. And if you do get some value from this video, please feel free to join us on our future weeks and like and comment on this video. Thank you so much.
What's my why for wanting to trade, and my personal why is that I left my corporate job in April of this year, and I would just really love the opportunity to also retire my husband from his job, and then really just explore the world and be able to share and spend more time traveling and with family and with friends. So before each trading session, I check in emotionally on my frame of mind. And should I be trading today? So I try to pay attention through my trading journal of like, what are days, like, are there specific days where I just shouldn't be trading? Like on birthdays, I don't trade on my birthday, my husband's birthday, my kids' birthdays. I don't want the impacts of my trading, whether positive or negative, to impact the day that we're celebrating for that person. So I don't trade on birthdays. I don't trade if I'm traveling. I'm just an anxious traveler. So there's lots of scenarios for me personally that I know I'm not going to have the focus or the best frame of mind to be trading. Second thing I do is check for daily news timeframes to avoid. So if there's any high impact news, and especially now, Lee and I are doing FTMO demos, so we really got to double check on what's the news, and then is there any restricted news that could impact us, and then we mark those up on our charts so that we've got a visual reminder as well. Performing top-down trend analysis, so just looking at timeframes from the daily down to the 1 minute, kind of how we do on Teresa's call every day. What's the overall AGB? Are there any major support resistance? What's the trend on the 15, 5, and 1 is what I'm more concerned with. And then writing out my lot sizes. I only risk 1% per trade. So I know Teresa risks 2% on the call, but through the last 6 months, I've really realized I'm not comfortable with that level of risk. If I hit my minus 6% stop for the day, based on how we calculate lot sizes in the morning, I wasn't comfortable with that loss. So I cut my risk in half. So I will stop trading when I've hit a daily 2.5% positive, or if I've hit 3 stop losses, so minus 3% for the day. My weekly goal is 10% and my monthly goal is 30%. Things I'm personally committed to mastering. So I've got boss candle strategy with Teresa. What am I doing to master that? So I'm attending her live trading calls and then going back and marking up all my trades that I executed. So we've got another day planned where we're going to go over like how specifically should you be marking up your trades? What are you looking for? What does that objective analysis look like? The second strategy that I was previously spending a lot of time on was the DeLorean and the shift candle with Tyrone. So I was getting on his calls Tuesday through Thursday at 10 and then doing his homework, as well as spending some time on the weekends going back over favorites or catching up on homework that I didn't get done for the day. I've got in here, when am I going to trade live? I need to define this because my times have changed. With the kids back in school now, it doesn't always work for me to be on Teresa's call because I've got to get them ready and out the door. So that's where I really need to still work on this. And how I said, like, they're always going to be a work in progress. The next thing that I have in mind is my entry rules and the reminder that no trade is still a good trade. Like, our number one objective is always to be protecting our capital. So some things that I've learned through my trading and through hitting too many stop losses is trying to take BTS trades or trading on the 1 minute time frame when the EMAs are really all in play. And we've had this a few days this week. And so we've been super patient. Like, some of our trading calls, like, I'll be on the call for 3 hours. Oh, sorry, not on the call, but like in my trading section for 3 hours, and really, like, there's no plays for me because it's not hitting. So also realizing through that, like, when I see that, should I still be staying on the charts? Am I going to force a trade because I've been on the charts for 3 hours, or can I be better at recognizing, hey, we're in some consolidation. This isn't part of my trading plan, stepping away and coming back later in the day. For all strategies that I work on, I do not enter until candle closure. And for EMA shift candles, I've got specific rules, and for dealer, I've got specific rules. So whatever strategies you're working on, just to have those specific rules in there. Trade management rules is the next that I have on mine. So for all time frames, things that I'm going to do when I've taken a trade. So I always want to be drawing my fib extension if it's applicable. Drawing a long and short position box just for risk reward, so I can see. Also, it's really easy to get fixated on the number if you're looking at your phone and seeing as it's ticking up and ticking down. So I execute on my phone, but I try to still watch the on trading view with my long and short to be like, okay, like, what's my percentage in profit as the candles are moving up or down, and then going back to still managing that on my phone. And then specific rules for the 1 minute time frame and the 5 minute time frame. And that's my trading plan. Like I said, I wanted to be on one page. All of these things kind of remind me of a little bit more now that I have a little bit more knowledge in trading. But just one example that we'll share out for you guys that you could customize. Leah, did you want to take over screen share for yours, or I can still pull it up if you want to talk through it? And sorry, I don't actually have the chat open either. Are there any questions?
Yeah, if you can share mine and then I'll just briefly go over it as well, it would be awesome.
Awesome.
And then maybe if you can, I don't know if you want to share the folder now or do you want to share it after? Maybe let's share it after and everyone can just like kind of hear our quick run through, and then you guys can surf through it afterwards and see what you see and see if you like what you see. So for my trading plan, I wanted to do it a little bit differently. I have found that I really like to write things out with pen and paper and make sure that I kind of have a record of the things that I've done, because it's also been easier for me to negotiate what I put in a daily plan. Maybe I'll start fresh on Monday because I had a bad week or something like that. And so if I have it on paper, it is a lot easier for me to remain accountable and to stop like fibbing to myself, because really all I'm doing is hurting myself for growth because I have shame or embarrassment over my lack of progression or whatever it might be. So the first page is a one pager. It talks about all of the things. So when I trade, where I trade, what I trade, how I trade, what is my ideal trade, what are my entries, when do I take profits, trade management, my exits, and what a manual exit is. And so I trade during London and New York sessions between the hours of 3 a.m. and 12 p.m. Pacific in 2-hour sessions. I trade only when my spread is small. I close all trades by 12:45 PST. I have a typo in here. So whether in profit or loss, I do not carry trades over dead gaps or weekends. I trade in my office when I am at home. When I am traveling, I trade with my laptop, a second screen, and I trade at a desk or a table with a chair, not bathroom trading, not trying to like do things on the fly, like with intention, because this is serious to me. When I trade the boss candle strategy with Teresa Guthrie. I trade US 30 on the 1 minute and 5 minute with specific management rules for each. How I trade, I am a scalper. I am a trend trader. I do not trade BTS on the 1 minute or 5 minute if all 3 EMAs are in play. I added that in because Amy and I were working on our plans together, and I really liked that. And it's something that, all of this is always a work in progress. So at the retreat, I said that I only consider trend trades that meet all 3 of the following, and I changed it to meet only 2 because I was not allowing myself really any counter trend trades. But counter trend must meet 2 of the following for me. It must have divergence or a reversal pattern, or be overbought, oversold zones on the TDI. So 2 of those have to be part of it. Amy talked about it, and knowing like, what is my ideal trade? What is it that I'm looking for? You know, like if you just say like, I don't know, I'll take every engulfing candle, or I'll take every DeLorean. You know, Teresa says all the time, you'll get your butt kicked because you can't take every single entry. So over time and practicing and doing my homework and marking up my trades, I'm like, oh, actually, these are the things that I really like. When I see them, they tend to play out fairly well most of the time, or I manage it. So I like a DLO or a true shift after a break and retest of high value EMAs with a preference for confluence with the trend on the next higher time frame. My entries will be DeLoreans, true shifts, yellow DLOs, MES, with EMA trajectory in favor of trend continuation. My take profits, I draw fibs on all engulfing entries, and TP4 is my ultimate goal. Trade management, on the 1 minute, I move my stop loss to break even when TP1 is reached, or 15 points. I move to 10 points after 20 in profit and trail by the yellow EMA after the second move. I'll skip over the 5 minute and just say I'm happy to take small wins and secure my profits as I trade. I am a sparrow. And a lot of you are probably, you've maybe heard the quote about the sparrow on the morning calls. And if you haven't, I can reshare it in the Facebook groups. I've shared it in my stories before. It's just a lovely little quote about taking little bites and being happy with that rather than trying to get the whole meal all in one fell swoop. And I found a lot more success for myself if I'm happy to get 1% versus get no percent or hit my stop loss because I was trying to get a 3 or a 4 or 5%er in one go. My exits, I trail my stop loss, TP4. So I know Teresa doesn't set TPs, but I'm happy if I get a full TP4. That makes me very, very happy. So I'm practicing with that. And if I feel like I want to adjust that, I can do that down the road. But trying things and sticking with it for a little bit of time until you actually see, does this work for me or does it not, is so much, like, I think you'll develop so much more quickly when you're following a plan versus just like kind of trying to follow the rules. And then an LC exit or the next EMA shift, whichever comes first. Manual exits. I will manually exit any trade that goes against me before 3 candles or a max of 1% drawdown. So I don't really want to hit my full 2% stop loss. I would much rather take a smaller loss, exit zone exits. And a lot of this was created with the idea that I want to take FTMO challenges and I want to work towards becoming a funded trader. And how I'll do that is by best managing my risk and my drawdown, to prevent myself from taking unnecessary losses. And then the next 2 pages are where I actually write things down with pen and paper. So this is going to become, once I kind of finalize it a little bit better, a coil bound book. So I'll have it lay open, like flat for me, the 2 pages side by side. And in the morning, I'm going to check these things off every day. I read my trading plan out loud. There's something really special about speaking things out into the universe and creating that energy because you're speaking your truth, right? These are the plans that I've made for myself. If I don't believe them or I don't say them and I try to negotiate with whether or not they exist, I think I'm just dishonoring myself. So I read it out loud. I write my intentions for the session. I put a couple of examples for myself there, but again, there's power in writing something down in your own words and doing that as like a repetitive task. And then I manage my risk. And from the morning call, most of you know, if you're on the calls with us, we used to always do trade or risk management part of me every single day before the call. And so not just memorizing things, but doing it based on what is my current balance. And yeah, we'll be sharing these, Stephanie. My maximum risk per trade, and currently, like Amy mentioned, we're working on our FTMO demos. So we're actually only risking 0.5%, and I'll be able to revise this for the different trading plans that I do. But having all of these things in writing in front of me and in pen, not pencil, to negotiate with it again, just allows me to be really accountable to myself. And so I know these things. And there was a time I accidentally entered the wrong lot size on a trade. And the minute I got into it, I knew that it was wrong, because thankfully that one went my way, but it just as easily could have been negative. And I realized that if I'm only risking, say, 2% of $1,000 account would be $20. So when I open it up and I see $60 on the screen, I'm like, ooh, something's wrong there. Shouldn't be that fat or that much that fast. And so I closed it manually. I check for high impact news on Forex Factory, my FX book, and the FTMO site for restricted news. I ask myself, is there any news to watch for? I circle one, yes or no, and then I mark them on the charts. I go through my trends and I write what they are. And then I can write out each of my trades for the day. So I have 2 pages to write that on. The time in, the time out, what I've gained, and so on. I have an extra spot there, which I might have deleted something by accident. And then after the session, there's a review. So at the bottom, I go through, I mark up all of my entries and exits that I took on TradingView. I enter all of my trades on my compounding plan, including links to my charts on TradingView. I review markups for weaknesses and opportunities to improve profitability, rule compliance, whatever it is. I journal about my emotional state, my feelings about individual trades, feelings overall. Was I feeling revengey? Did I do something? Did I break a rule to myself? So did I follow my plan today? Yes or no? Did I keep promises to myself? Yes or no? And how do I feel about today? And what would I change, if anything? So that's why, to me, writing this all down and having it as sort of like a record, a log of how have I come in my journey. Imagine starting this at any point in time and looking back at it in 3 months or in 6 months or in a year, and how far you can come. What I realized without a trading plan at all is that there's no evidence of my growth, and there's no, like, I don't know, like, path of what does my journey look like and how far have I really come. So those are mine. And then I touched briefly on the compounding journal and spreadsheet, and maybe I'll get Amy to talk about, but the power of compounding is something that is really one of the reasons why it doesn't matter to me if it takes me 10 years to become a successful trader. It will always, always be time well spent. Thank you, guys.
Yes, I'll just drop the link in the chat for this entire folder. You guys would just need to save a copy to your personal computers, but you should have viewer access to all of the templates that are in here. There are a couple more, so I'll just stop here for a second, because I saw in the beginning, there are some of you who already have your trading plans made, and some of you who were like looking to get started, some of you who didn't know what a trading plan was. But for the people who have their trading plans made, is there anything that you have in yours that you think you find specific value in the most, and maybe even something that Leah and I are possibly missing in ours as well? So open for feedback there, if anybody wants to unmute and talk a bit about their own trading plans, or any questions that you guys have about getting started or in general.
Hi, this is Franny.
Hey, Franny.
Hey, so one thing that Teresa's been talking about recently, and that's really helped me, is the question, why should I not take the trade? And that's really helped, because I take trades that I know are not great, but now when I actually ask myself that question, why should I not take this trade, before I press buy or sell?
Nice. Yeah. So, I mean, that could be one more thing you'd add in there of your confirmations, right? Like, are there any reasons not to take this trade? Just as a reminder to have that thought process and be looking for reasons not to.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
I think along that line, for myself, I was a over trader. I was taking, 12, 13 trades in a session. And today I took one trade, I profited 2%, and I was like, I'm good. But I also added in my trading plan 5 trades. And so when I get to 5 trades, I stop. I mean, and that's in addition to the other things of like setting this, a maximum percentage of loss or gain. But I want to, at this point in my journey, just make sure that I'm not over trading and that I'm along those lines. What are the reasons not to take the trade?
Yeah, I love it. And that's like Lee and I go over that as well too when we're trading together of like what do we really like about this and what do we want to see? Be like, okay, like we're not going to take it for this reason, but if it does A, B, and C after that happens. So like always still thinking about like forecasting ahead as well. Like here's my reason not to. And then how do you turn that into like the reason of what you're looking for? And maybe that can help you to define in your trading plan, what does your ideal trade look like? Once you know more about what it doesn't look like, it's easier to kind of figure out what it does look like. I don't see any other questions. I will share also in the chat. I know Teresa's probably shared this out a few times too, just like the daily compounding calculator. But if you don't have this link, it's really motivating to come in here and be like, if I can keep my discipline, like what are the potential impacts of the future, right? So I mean, if you're starting with a $500 account, even if you're only making 2% a day, like only use loosely, depending on your risk management, like 1% a day can also still change your life. I think there's about 252 trading days in a year. If you don't need to pull out any of your capital for that year, and we're not counting weekends to calculate what can $500 turn into. So in 1 year, you can turn $500 into $73,000 with 2% a day. So really, like for me, one of my things was I didn't view it as greed, but there's really no other definition for it. Where like I always wanted a little bit more, but I've never really been a super greedy person, I would say. And so I would go for 3% or I'd go for 4%, and then I'd land up over trading and I'd only have 1%, or I'd go back to break even, or I'd go into the negative for the day. So just another reminder too, like what are you risking? When are you going to stop, so that you can still attain that ultimate goal of like, what is your daily average, right? And keep in mind that this is an average. Some days are going to be more than 2% and some days are going to be less than 2%. And that's okay. That's what everybody's trading journey looks like. Nobody can win 100% of the time.
In
So yeah,
one of the templates I created in that folder, also it's like a simple compounding plan, and it also allows you to start with your daily amount and change your percentage, but whatever you put in, plus or minus in your account change, and whether you withdraw anything, it will forecast for you. And so I actually built this for myself initially because I wanted to know at what point in my compounding would I be able to take out my monthly expenses? When can I start to withdraw my rent? When can I start to like cover everything that I need to cover? And the fact is, even with this, and it's a little bit more aggressive at a 3% daily goal, but at the 60-day mark, I'd be able to cover my rent, like with only $1,000 account. It's really, and not negatively impact my compounding, which is really, really important. So these are all things that you guys can play with, but I wanted to do something or make something for everyone so you can see how real life would play out. Maybe you need to take your car payment out at some point or whatever, and you can just see how much, even a small percentage daily, but it does really need to compound daily. So this is one of the questions that people ask me sometimes. Well, what will happen if I don't trade every day? Well, if you don't trade every day, then this is not set up by dates, but this is the number of trading days. So you can see, if you trade once a week at 52 weeks, how far along would you be, and so on.
So I just threw some general numbers in here for anybody who is interested in using the spreadsheet. You just need to populate in this center column, what were your gains or losses for the day? So say if you were down for a day, this is all that you need to populate. Everything else will kind of flow over to the next day. It'll give you your daily percentage increase or decrease. And then she's got a column over here as well for if you have a deposit or a withdrawal. So I just typed in here, I had a monthly bonus. I put $100 extra into my trading account. And then if you need to pull something out, you would just enter that as a negative. Cat food's super expensive right now. It doesn't cost $100, but still, I was just playing around. For how to use the spreadsheet and keeping track of any additional deposits or withdrawals along there. Leah's was probably like the most straightforward, easy to understand. There are a couple other ones in here, just really basic. Type in your starting account balance and then whatever you made for that day, and it's going to give you your percentage. It can tell you your 5% goal, your 2% risk, and all these numbers are editable as well, right? Like I've got 5% goal in here. If you wanted that to be a 3%, you can just change the 5 to a 3 and carry that back down. Not like I'm doing right now though. But you can edit all of the cells. Oh my goodness, Amy. If your goal is 3%. Still not working. Don't mind me, guys. I'll get there eventually. For whatever, you can personalize these however you want to for your goal and what your risk is. And I trade with Janie Trade Helper now, so she's amazing for calculating my lot size. But prior to that, I would spend a lot of time making sure that I wasn't over leveraged. So I just had quick calculations on my spreadsheet because I had it open every day for me based on, I would just update over here every day, what's my account balance at the start of my trading day. And then I would have my calculations set up for me, knowing what my personal, brokers, minimum volume, and contract sizes were, so that I didn't have to worry about trying to figure that out on the fly, or like if I was keeping track and I noticed my stop losses were bigger because my candle sizes were bigger. So that's one more option in the folder. And then this is another, again, super basic one that Teresa shared out at the retreat. All you have to do at the end of the day is type in what your new account balance is. So if you started with $500 and at the end of the day, your account was $518, it'll give you what your percentage is. As you populate this column here, it'll automatically give you your percentages on the side. So that is there for everybody as well. Any questions, comments, anything else that you guys want us to kind of go over? Like I said, we're just winging it and hoping that we can bring some value to everybody, but
Hi guys, it's Terry up in Vancouver. The daily interest calculator, I'd stepped away for a moment. Is there a link or is there a website that you found that at? Sorry.
yeah, I did drop it in the chat, but I can drop it one more
Okay,
time.
no, I'll look for it. I'll look for it. That's fine. Good.
Yeah, it's just
Good.
compounddaily.org. And you
Okay,
can play
great.
around with all your numbers on there. And I mean, like for forecasting out, what does 1 year look like? 500 to 73,000. What does year 2 look like, right? And like at that point, are you maybe still shooting for 2%, but now you need to pull out some of your expenses. So maybe you're only reinvesting 80%. And to see, so it can tell you too, right? So you could grow your $70,000 account to a lot. I don't know, there's still commas in here for me, while also still taking out money, right? So you're paying yourself and still compounding your account. You can play around kind of with all of your numbers to personalize those through your journey and see what does that look like when you do want to start paying yourself out of your trading account.
Okay, thanks. Lee, I have a
Yeah, you're
question for
welcome.
you, and I came on late. I was out working in the yard and lost track of time. And you may have covered this already. How long did it take before you started to feel comfortable where you were actually trading? I mean, we've talked a little bit about, you've shared that it took you a little bit longer, you felt, to learn. And I remember us talking about that recently in the last couple of weeks or so.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I was trying to learn while also running 3 businesses for the company.
that's right. Yeah, you were managing the store in Langley. And maybe more.
Yeah, honestly, I have felt very comfortable trading since I dove in with Teresa and started attending all the daily calls and doing the work, right? Doing the homework, participating, asking questions, doing the kinds of things that you're doing now. By you guys coming on these calls and participating and maybe like pulling back the sheet and having a look and see like what have I not done to set myself up for success? What am I hiding from myself, or what am I, maybe too ashamed to even admit that I don't know? When you start asking those questions and you start doing the work, I think it can come very, very quickly, but it's like anything, whatever you put into it is what you'll get out of it. So yeah, I feel like I became very confident leading up to, let's say, okay, so starting with Teresa religiously from January, going to the retreat in April, I felt like I had a really good grasp of the strategy, and I just needed to fine tune some things. And then going to the retreat, just like catapulted the trajectory of my learning and my understanding, and then my engagement. And from then until October, 6 months later, it's been like exponential growth. And so that's basically the timeline, I think, for me. And I'm very, very excited to see what's going to happen over the next year, because I'm very, very confident that, like, for Amy and I, especially when we're digging in and we're doing this work together every single day, I think that the trajectory of our finances and our futures are going to be unrecognizable
Yeah,
in such a
exactly.
beautiful way.
Yeah,
Aish-
it's exciting. It's exciting for me to see too, because I mean, you called me originally with IMA like over 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
And I was involved in something else at the time, but you and I've known each other for probably 10 years.
Yeah.
And to see, and I've, we've stayed in contact for those 10 years and kind of shared different things going on in our lives. And to see your growth, and Louise and I are very excited for you. This is wonderful.
Thank
And
you.
yeah,
Thank you, Jen. Have a good supper. Sorry, Terry, I want to get to Aisha's question also.
Okay.
So how long it takes people to consistently achieve 2% a day? I think that's really personal and hard to say for any one person. I think it depends as well on the amount of work that you're going to put in and how much homework you're going to do. And are you going to log your trades and look back and see what areas there are for improvement for you? And then also, like doing the fine tuning.
And just knowing that everybody's journey is going to be different as well, right? Like if you're still working a full-time job, and you're trying to trade in the morning before work, it might take a little bit longer because you've got a limited window for trading. And if your trade doesn't come in that window, you're not going to get a percentage for that day. But I think it's really important to have that compounding plan, and then running those averages over time, right? Like not looking at like, okay, I made my 2% on these days and I didn't make it on these days, but what's your overall average of growth? And then just coming back to your why, like, why is this still worth it? For me personally, I can't imagine ever going back to a corporate job. Like it's just not in my plan. And if it takes me 5 years to be consistently successful on this, I'm willing to put that time in, because I've never come across another opportunity in my life that gave me so much hope, or where I felt like the same level of opportunity or like the same excitement, as opposed to when I was waking up and just not being excited to get started on my day and heading into the office and dropping the kids at daycare and all of that stuff. So it's hard. I did that for my first year and a half, Aisha. I was trading in the morning and trying to get the kids their breakfast and ready for school and out the door and then into the office for 8 o'clock. And I will say the hustle is hard, but it is so worth it in the end.
Yeah, it's regardless of how long it takes you, like I think it's important to remember not to compare yourself to anybody else. And maybe you do have to revisit your why a little bit more. Maybe you have to do a little bit more mindset work. Maybe you have to dig into some of the tasks, but like whenever you make it a priority for you, and like for myself, I had to make these things non-negotiable. I was never a morning person. I lived a very I felt like I was burdened. I ran 3 businesses where I was on call pretty much 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We were open on Christmas. And until I determined that I was going to make the time and I was going to be committed to learning this strategy and learning trading for real for me, nothing else was ever going to change. Nobody was going to swoop in and be like, hey, here's an opportunity where you can make all kinds of money and not have to do the work. We always have to do the work. But yeah, there's honestly now, there's nothing else in my life that has greater upshot or greater potential for me than focusing on this. And every hour spent on this, I feel like it's like reinvesting, right? Like I'm reinvesting in my potential for my whole future and for my family's future, for potentially generations. So Anne, I've been trading only in my own account on Teresa's calls for a very long time, and have just started to use Janie to help me with the FTMO demo, and it's very cool and it's very exciting. And I think that I know that she's going to have the potential to change so many people's lives in a really positive way, because she helps to take away some of the anxiety of managing a trade once you're in it. But you still have to learn the strategy and learn what you know and what you don't know, so that you can find out still why you're successful, or where you still need to sharpen your tool belt tools.
Who can get Janie? I know Teresa's got, I don't think she's taking any more beta customers right now, but I believe that there's a waiting list that once she is ready to kind of go out there on live accounts, that you can get on. Sylvia, I don't have the link right now, but we can definitely get that and send it out to you. It is just through her Kajabi, I believe. Oh, Teresa's on the call. Hey, T.
So December, Janie will be available to people in December, but if you're interested or you're curious, get on the waiting list. I think it's 100% worth spending the time learning the strategy and creating your own trading plan, but doing it for yourself.
Yes, definitely. I would say Janie is like a trading plan robot, where you can put in kind of what are your rules that you want to follow, and she will make sure that you're sticking to your rules. Did anybody else have any questions or comments or anything that we can kind of help or share with? And then also maybe I'll organize my thoughts, but Lee and I were kind of chatting. We lined out 4 general topics to go over, but we're also open to people on the call who hadn't yet started their trading plans or didn't know what the trading plan was. we could kind of pivot for next week. And if people want to revisit this one more time, and maybe if they get started on their trading plans and come across any hurdles or have questions along the way, we could do a review of anybody who wanted to come on and kind of share what their trading plan was or where they were looking for a little bit more guidance. So maybe drop a 1 in the chat if you wanted to revisit trading plans again next week, with the intent of you guys in the audience coming on to share what you were going through with that journey, or we can just stick with what we've got on the agenda.
Do you
Or maybe
guys,
nobody's coming on the call next week.
So you want us to, you're saying either a 1 if we want to share our trading plans, is that what it is?
Yeah, like if we wanted to go back over, so anybody who's going to be tweaking their trading plan over the next week or starting their trading plan over the next week, drop a 1 in the chat if we want to revisit trading plans again and have a little bit of participation just to share what you guys were working on, or we can just keep going through kind of our 4 topics that we picked and then go from there.
So next week is lined up to talk about and go over homework. So that's what, that's like the or. It's homework or go through your guys' trading plans.
It looks like everyone wants homework.
Okay.
Yes, definitely homework. I also vote for sharing trading plans, but maybe there's a way that if everybody wants homework, then we can do it like in drop our own files up somewhere so we can look at each other's or something. I don't know.
And I want to say too, and I know I've shared it in the chats on the group, but I love how much engagement is now like really coming from everyone. And the more everyone participates, the more we can all grow as a community. So thank you guys for your participation and for your input. And I love that you all want to continue on with the agenda and go over homework next week. But I think let's all keep each other accountable and let's all work together on like getting our trading plans out there. So maybe we'll do an engagement post and you guys can like share like what did you add to your trading plan this week, or did you start a new trading plan this week? And let's all participate and let's cheer each other on.
Love it. Thanks, Leah. And thank you, everybody.
That's a beautiful idea. I love it. You guys, I just want you to know mine is in this link that they sent out here. So I didn't need to put it in at the beginning. Remember, you need to make a copy of it and make it your own. Very important. Leah, I seen something in your trading plan I'm stealing. So thank you very much. And I will share it next time to make myself accountable. Thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you all. Thank you for being here with us and for participating. And I hope you all have a beautiful night.
Thank you so much, you guys.
Thanks, Amy and Leah.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Love your hair, Leah.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Amy.
Anybody? Yeah, I love your hair, Leah. That's perfect.
You look great, Leah. Look awesome.
Awesome.
My head's in a towel, so I'm on just picture there. That's it.
See you all in the morning.
You betcha.